So this is our time to look at our lives, appraise our lives, and ask ourselves, actually, where are we going? Personally and as a human race on this planet, where are we heading for, you know? This is the thing. So is going back, so many people think, well, when this is over, we'll go back to our ordinary everyday lives the way we had it before, back to normality. But is that the answer? You know, because isn't the fact that the way we were leading our lives the very cause of the problem we're having right now? So would it be possible, when the world has come to this virtual standstill, is it possible that we could change our direction? I don't know. I'm not saying that we will. I'm just saying, could we? So one lesson we have all learned is how incredibly interconnected we all are, actually. You know, doesn't matter what country you're in, and the virus itself is not discriminating. It doesn't discriminate between rich and poor, between our race, between our gender, between our social status. None of us are immune. All human beings, as we share this planet, we have all these interactions of consequences, both seen and unseen. Our planet is sending us these warning signals. Everybody knows this, but it's up to us whether or not we pay attention. Where do we hear these warning signals? I mean, yes, everybody has all these very nice ideas of how we should go forward, but will we actually do this? I don't know, really. So, because first there were natural disasters, there were fires, floods, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, but it was always happening somewhere else, somewhere that you could watch on television or you read about it somewhere else that was suffering, but not us. But now for the first time, everybody's affected. It's quite incredible, actually. So maybe this message will finally get home, because it's hitting each one of us. You know, whether we are just locked in our homes and we're, you know, still within our comfort zone, or whether we've lost our job, whether we've lost our means of livelihood, whether we're starving, or whether we still are, you know, comfortable. Each one of us is nonetheless affected. Everybody has stories, isn't it? So if our outer world really reflects our inner world, then the virus shows us that we are all tainted on a psychic level, because this is the outer expression of what we have been doing to ourselves and to the planet for so many years, and especially in the modern time. You know, our thoughts influence our environment, for better or worse. We all know this. You go to a very holy place and you can feel the vibrations of holiness. You go to a very traumatic place like Auschwitz, and you can feel there something very, very terrible happen. And so our thoughts and our psychic inner being also manifests outside. And so this is a manifestation of where we are at. Our greed, our aggression, self-centeredness, all of this now is coming out. And we don't know what to do, right? Our emotional pollution dominates our minds, far worse than any outer pollution. And all of this is intensified and magnified by the media and the entertainment industry, which is bombarding us the whole time with fear and aggression, panic, so that people they're sucked into this environment of total, fear. So with the fear, how are we going to react? Either the fear can make us become more egocentric, more panicking, more thinking, how can I protect myself? How can I deal with my own self, my own family? How can I keep them healthy? And people lie awake at night worrying and anxiety and problems. So we contract into ourselves, and our self-concern and our egoistic self-cherishing mind becomes greater and more prison. Or we can open up our heart, and we can recognize that these problems which we are facing is what connects us with all beings. All beings everywhere at this time are suffering. All beings everywhere have this sense of, where do we go from here? Of sense of insecurity, worries, concerns, loss of loved ones, loss of livelihood. So then the heart opens up and connects instead of disconnects. The choice is ours. So I thought it would be very nice if we could all practice together a practice called Tonglen. Tong means to give, Len means to receive. And it's a very basic practice, which is in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition especially, but it's not especially Buddhist. It is the idea, normally when we think of suffering, we imagine distancing it, that we would send out light to get rid of our suffering. But here, what we're doing is that we're thinking of perhaps someone personally we know who is suffering, or even the whole world at this moment, which is in suffering, the whole planet, which is in suffering. And with our in-breath, we imagine breathing in all that suffering, all that pain, all that fear, all that anxiety and insecurity into ourselves. With the in-breath, it comes in through the nostrils, goes down into the heart center, right at the center of our being. We take in this darkness like a kind of vacuum cleaner, taking in all the pain, all the stress, all the suffering of all beings on this planet into ourselves, going down this dark black light into our heart center. And as it reaches the heart center, it transforms, because our essential nature, as has been said again and again during even this meeting, is divine. Our true nature is completely pure, completely perfect, completely, absolutely wonderful. The fullness of love, compassion, and wisdom. That is our true nature, and that is our tragedy, that we don't recognize our true nature, and that we are so attached to a nature which is very ephemeral, which is not who we truly are at our essential being. So when this dark light comes in, then it immediately, as it reaches the heart center, transforms into golden luminosity, golden light, which is our true being, which can never be polluted by however much darkness, pain, and suffering comes in. It doesn't stay there. It immediately transforms. And with the out-breath, we send out this golden light, which then spreads out throughout the whole planet to all the beings on the planet, soaking into every single cell of them and bringing them well-being, happiness, love, and all the sense of deep inner true being, which they really are. So with the in-breath, we bring in their pain and suffering in the form of dark light. And with the out-breath, we send out our essential well-being, happiness, joy, love, all the good things. And imagine that it completely envelopes the whole planet and heals the planet. And the planet realizes its true fullness and its true nature. So maybe just for 5 minutes, we could sit and do this. That with the in-breath, we bring in all the darkness and the pain. And with the out-breath, we send out all the light and love and healing and well-being into the planet and into all the beings on this planet. Okay, can we do that? So just for, could you bing when 5 minutes are over, please? Yes? Okay, so just give us 5 minutes. So just ordinary breath, breathing in the darkness, breathing out the light. So, thank you. Um, the interesting thing about something like Tonglen, which can be done, of course, also for individuals. If you know someone who is suffering, you can concentrate on that person, bringing in their suffering into oneself, sending out the healing qualities of light and love to them. Or even if oneself is suffering, then one can use it by thinking, you know, that if, for example, one is sick or if one is very depressed, then one can visualize bringing in all the sickness and the sadness of worries and fears of all the beings in the universe. May they come to me, and I will take them and transform them. And that in that way, wouldn't that be wonderful if I could do that? You know, that I could, by my suffering, I could solve the problem of all other beings suffering. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Just like a mother, if her child is sick, she would do anything to take on the suffering of that child. She would be happy to have the suffering of that child. That child could be free of suffering itself. So it's that feeling, actually, far from making us feel, you know, overwhelmed and despairing and more depressed and suicidal, it actually gives us a sense of inner empowerment, that we feel this tremendous upsurge gradually of genuine compassion and interconnection with all beings. And so it's a very powerful practice. At first, it might seem quite artificial, but as we keep practicing it, it becomes very transformative. It's a very, very, very powerful practice. And so that's why I wanted to share it now, because as we know, the world at this time is desperately in need of transforming its suffering into something meaningful, something genuine. So therefore, we become willing to be the surrogate for all the other people. Their suffering comes to me, then I will be happy. You know, if they can be free from suffering and I could myself just suffer, that would be enough. So in this way, we use something which is very, very challenging. And by our response to what is challenging, we transforming it into something which is very, very deep, very, very meaningful. Because the source of our being is love and compassion. And how to access that. And this is one very powerful way of practice that helps us to open ourselves to our interconnection with all beings.